Hello. The Herschel Award is given to an individual in the motion picture industry whose humanitarian efforts have brought credit to the industry. To his cause, Michael J. Fox has brought understanding, empathy, and resolve, and with it, inspiration to millions who now stand a little taller, speak in a voice a little stronger, and hold on just a little tighter to something all of humanity needs a whole lot more of: hope. I was at a party in Hollywood, and I don't recall the specifics of the time, other than it was in the mid-'80s, and it was a Thursday, and it was about 8:34 p.m. Other than that, I don't really remember, but naturally, I was in the kitchen, where all good parties end up, and I just stepped outside for a little air, and and suddenly, I come back, seemed like everyone at the party just evaporated. So I walk into the living room, and there is everybody watching a television show. So I stopped and watched, and there was this kid who looked to be in high school on the screen, and he was electric. What he could do with a look or a pause. I was watching a phenomenon in the making. And I mean, I think of myself as pretty funny, and very funny when I'm high. But this guy was a master class in comedy. And that was my first introduction to Michael J. Fox. A year or two later, he did Back to the Future. He was the biggest star in the world. And we were having a Cheers Christmas party. I know you remember this, Mike. And he came by, and this was when I first actually got to meet him, and he was incredibly gracious. And he loved the show, and he loved my character, I will say. And he has this amazing ability when people approach him to tell him how great he is. He turns the tables and he makes those people feel great. And I would see him do this so many times over so many years. Mike he's a genuinely great guy. I mean, what can I say? He's Canadian. And we had a nice chat. And then he got up on stage with the band, who was doing Johnny B. Good, and he did his solo from Back to the Future. And I can tell you, everyone from the Cheers cast and crew felt very lucky to witness this performance, other than one lady who was not feeling Christmassy and who promptly kicked him out. Yes, and that woman became my wife. Sorry, it's a cheap joke. No, but anyway. So I had this company making round beach towels. So now when the sun moves, your towel doesn't have to. Yeah, I tell you, it was another one of those savant investments that's really kept me in fine fettle all these years. So I brought over to Mike a couple of towels as an apology for getting kicked out of the party, and he said, "Let's hang out sometime." And I said, "Okay, yeah, let's hang out sometime." And we became good friends. A bit later, he recommended me for a part in a film called Doc Hollywood. And that's good, the old people cheering. But it was it was my leap from Cheers to the big screen, and I owe it to you, Mike. And but anyway, one morning while we were in Florida, his pinky was twitching, and he wasn't sure if it was from the 20 minutes of slap boxing we'd done in the parking lot the night before. So he saw a doctor who was the first doctor who suggested to him he might have Parkinson's. He told me, and I just couldn't believe it, because there is such an invincible, superhuman quality about Mike. All of you who know him know that's true. Well, he never missed a step, never wallowed in self-pity as I would have done, and instead he turned a chilling diagnosis into a courageous mission. I went to visit him in Thailand when he was filming Casualties of War, and one night Mike took us into the jungle, and we stopped at this little hut. And Mike, ran out of the car. This kid runs up to him, and he hands him like thousands of baht, which probably amounted to about $16. And then the kid led him to this little space that had a chest-high wall of concrete around it, and they both jumped over it. So I run up to the wall. I couldn't believe it. I look in there, and Mike is sitting next to this kid with dozens of cobras all around them, ready to strike. And no jest. And the kid was toying with these cobras. He would stick his knee in front of him, and then the cobra would try to strike, and he'd just move his knee in time, and then just smack him in the back of the head. He taunted a bunch of these cobras, and then he found the orneriest cobra, grabbed it by the neck, threw it in a cage with a mongoose, where I saw the craziest fight I've ever seen between any animals, other than studio executives. And you guys know I'm kidding, of course. And the mongoose won. They took the snake, tied it by its tail, wrung the blood out, half filled 4 glasses with cobra blood and half with Thai whiskey. Drinking the cobra blood is called becoming brother to the snake. Mike and I drank lots of things together, and he can hold his own. What can I say? He's Canadian. But Mike promptly vomited his snake cocktail. He never could hold his cobra blood. Anyway, I said I thought it was one of the funniest jokes I ever said. I said, "Hey, Mikey, he likes it." Which, oh, yeah, well, they didn't get it laugh then, but it's gratifying now. Anyway, the famed acting coach Stella Adler reminded us that the word theater comes from the Greeks. It means the seeing place. It is the place people come to see the truth about life. Michael J. Fox never asked for the role of Parkinson's patient or disease advocate. But make no mistake, it is his greatest performance. Michael brought the world to the seeing place where we all feel invested in finding a cure for a cruel disease. Vulnerable, yes. A victim, never. An inspiration, always. And a living, breathing symbol and singular voice to help advance progress toward a cure through the Michael J. Fox Foundation for Parkinson's Research. So far, he's raised over $1 billion for the cause. Someone once told me, people will remember your example, not your advice. I mean, I advised him, is that necessarily true? No. But Michael J. Fox sets the ultimate example of how to fight and how to live. And today, he is as beloved for his activism as he is for his acting. Please join me for a look at the life and a snapshot of the story of someone whose immense talent is surpassed only by the depth of his courage and his commitment to a cause. I love you, brother. And now, on behalf of the Academy, it is truly an honor to present the Jean Hersholt Humanitarian Award to my friend, Michael J. Fox.
Guys, you're making me shake. Stop it. Thank you. You gonna be here the whole time, Woody? Are you throwing jokes to you and stuff? A straight line scene, Woody will roll in and make you laugh again. First of all, it's off script, but thank you so much for being here, and I love you. And we did some damage. We did some damage in the 80s. I heard an expression the other day. I never heard it before. Someone said, "Oh, they were 80s famous." And I thought, yeah, son of a bitch, that was a different deal. Anyway, get down to the serious business. Thank you, Academy, for honoring me with the Jean Hersholt Humanitarian Award. It is a wholly unexpected honor, and I'm truly grateful. Special thanks to Bonnie Arnold, Davis Guggenheim, Bob Zemeckis, Bob Gale, the two Bobs, Steven Spielberg and Laura Dern. I actually know those people. This is so cool. Also, thanks to Bruce Springsteen for that song you heard at the end of Davis's piece. It's sort of a personal anthem. No repeat, baby. No retreat, baby. No repeat. No repeat, no retreat. Baby, no surrender. And there's a line in that they bursted out of class, had to get away from those fools. They learned more from a 3-minute record, baby, than they ever learned in school. I don't know if that was completely true, but I did leave high school in the 11th grade, sold my guitar, and moved to LA, like right over there in the corner of the Fox lot, in an alley behind Shirley Way. I moved in, starved for a while. I'm not bragging. God forbid anybody who tries to do the same thing. I told the history teacher of mine to stop it. No, not yet. You wonder with Parkinson's, don't you? I told the history teacher of my plan, and he said, "Fox, you're never going to be cute forever." I had no idea how to respond to that. So I said, "Maybe just long enough, sir. Maybe just long enough." Turns out we were both right. Years later, my son Sam insisted that the 30-something me earn my GED. And so I did. I got that covered. My career as a risk taker and an opportunist started to hit full stride. During my first days, then months, then years in the American film and television industry, I booked some jobs, ducked some landlords, dove in a few dumpsters, and eventually I found myself, unbelievably, on a TV series called Family Ties. My boss on Family Ties was a larger-than-life, enormously gifted bear of a man. And when I say bear, I don't just mean Teddy, I mean full-on grizzly. Gary David Goldberg was my friend. Don't get me started. Was my friend and my mentor, and I still miss him every day. He taught me how to be a dedicated professional actor and a responsible human being. Introduced me to the concept of to whom much is given, much is required. I think that's John F. Kennedy's wording, but I also recognize the concept as taught to me by my parents, Phil and Bill Fox, who, by the way, would love this. In case you're wondering, Irish people cavell too. My mom and dad were kind and generous people, and their very values were very clear and visible to their core. I really didn't think they'd been given so much, so I didn't think I fully understood the lesson. They worked their asses off, putting all their love and energy into raising me and my 4 siblings, Karen, Steve, Jackie, and Kelly. But of course, they wouldn't see it as any hardship at all. When I left school and my home and my country, I wasn't leaving my mom and dad. I was just doing what felt right for me. They believed in my passion. My optimism, not so much. They were risk averse. And now, a few short years later, I was on top of the world. I had a hit television show, 2 movies in the can, and it was all good in the neighborhood. This is when Gary started talking to me about a bigger neighborhood, about the obligation I had to help out where I could. Gary introduced me to other philanthropic mentors, all stunning examples of doing good as a major part of doing right and doing well. Bob Zemeckis, Bob Gale, Steven Spielberg, Jeffrey Katzenberg, Brandon Tartikoff, Peter Benedek, and Bob Philpott. These were strong men and also strong women who helped me along the way, like Nancy Ryder, Leslie Sloan. Yeah, Nancy Ryder. God, I miss her. Judith Weiner, Nancy Gates, and Dr. Susan Pressman. And just when you think things couldn't get any better, they got better. Just before they got worse. I met Tracy, better. Sam was born, better. Eventually, we had 3 fantastic daughters, Aquinnah, Skylar, and Esme, better, better, better. Somewhere in there, around 29, I was diagnosed with Parkinson's. I was told I only had 10 years left to work. That was shitty. That's what happened. The hardest part of my diagnosis was grappling with the certainty of the diagnosis and the uncertainty of the situation. I only knew that it would get worse. The diagnosis was definite, the progress was indefinite and uncertain. Tracy made it clear that she was with me for the duration. I just gotten so much shit. But my young son Sam didn't know. He didn't have a choice. Then I entered into 7 years of denial, trying to make sense of it all. The kid who left Canada convinced that he would make anything happen, just by working hard and by believing, now had a tall order in front of him. I told very few people, and they kept my secret. Stop it. Then there were all kinds of doctors who helped me understand physical processes that were at work or not at work in my brain, as the case may be. Finally, I felt like I needed to tell everybody. I understood it would have a huge impact on my career. But by this time, I was doing Spin City, and I didn't know if an audience could laugh if they knew I was struggling. I had to figure out how best to deliver the news. So I told Barbara Walters and People magazine. Remember, this was at the dawn of the internet. And in those days, if you wanted to get news out, you told People magazine and Barbara Walters. Oh, for simpler times. What happened next was remarkable. The outpouring of support from the public at large and the beautiful reaction from all of my peers in the entertainment business. All of you, thank you. And the people that I worked with was transformative. Then I reached out to the Parkinson's community itself, patients, families, their doctors, leading scientists in the field, and it struck me that everything I'd been given, success, my life with Tracy, my family, had prepared me for this profound opportunity and responsibility. It was a gift, as my friend George Stephanopoulos pointed out in the film. I refer to it as Parkinson's is the gift that keeps on taking. Gift that keeps on taking. Showing up for a handful. But it truly has been a gift. Once I became engaged in learning about the disease, every interaction, every new piece of information I gathered, every researcher or NIH official I talked to, all confirmed that the science was ahead of the money. The answers could be unlocked with the right investments. It was also clear that an aging, underserved patient base could use some help in getting their message out. Patients let me know that if I could push, they'd put their weight behind me, sometimes shaky, and they'd push alongside me, and we would push together. This was the impetus for the Michael J. Fox Foundation for Parkinson's Research. I didn't want to call it that. I wanted to call it PD Cure, and I told Tracy, and she said, pedicure? Now I'm really in trouble. No, I'm not in trouble. So what was I going to say? Oh, yeah. There was nothing heroic behind what I did. It was the gathered forces of many people. As I considered downsizing my professional career to shift my energies towards finding better treatments and resources for the Parkinson's community, I sought help from many smart people, close to home like Tracy, and special friends like Curtis and Carolyn Shanker, I want to get this thank you out, so I'm going to stop. Curtis and Carolyn Shanker, who surrendered their Rolodexes to me. Remember Rolodexes?